Hey, David Brewster here on the 3 for All. This is 3 Micheal Firkins licks from 1992, and Micheal Firkins is an exceptional guitarist, a little lesser known, but he does have a big cult following, and just an exceptional guitarist, really, really tasteful, very melodic, lots of feel and this blues rock kind of style. And I know when I first heard his, debut on Shrapnel Records, from 1990, Micheal Firkins, when I heard that album, it blew my mind. It was so different in style and sound compared to other people on Shrapnel. And around that time, there was this heavy, neoclassical influence which came from Yngwie. And you could hear it with players like Paul Gilbert and Vinnie Moore, Tony McAlpine, Jason Becker, that Shrapnel Records bunch. But when I heard Micheal Firkins, it was this bluesy, blues rock sound. There was all the slide emulation with the bar, just a really different style and approach and sound. And I just fell in love. I was like, wow, okay, this guy is unreal. And I went out and bought his instructional video and eventually bought, some more of his albums like Chapter 11 and Cactus Cruise. And he's continued. He has about 6 albums. He's also appeared on 2 of Jason Becker's albums, Perspective and Triumphant Hearts. Howling Iguanas, it was like a side project that he was involved with, and he's been on some collaboration albums and some other things too. But if you haven't heard Micheal Firkins, you should, because he will blow your doors off. Just amazing guitarist. I've had a lot of requests to feature Micheal on this channel, and one of the reasons why I waited, I actually had a lesson that was a tribute to Micheal Firkins that was in Guitar Player magazine last year. That would have been the April 2020 issue with Smooth Operator was the name of the lesson. But we kind of broke down, some of his licks and phrases. And, actually I got to meet Micheal Firkins. That was a couple years ago at GearFest, actually at Sweetwater. And I was there covering the event for Guitar Player. And there was an event or a clinic that was back by the pavilion, which is very far from the building. And GearFest is half indoor and half outdoor. But I was outside, and outside they have all these tents, which is where the equipment booths are. And, I was about, I don't know, I was like 3 football fields away from this guitar, but I could hear it way off in the distance. And I was standing there by the pavilion, kind of wondering what I was going to do next because there was a little bit of a lapse, like in the presentations and the clinics. But I could hear this guitar. And I thought, man, that sounds kind of like Micheal Firkins. So I just started walking toward it. Keep in mind, I'm like 3 football fields away, but I could faintly hear this guitar, and I just walked toward it. And there are thousands of people. There's people, banging on drums and guitars and eating, and there's all this noise, but I could hear the guitar. I followed it, went into the booth, and it was the Headrush booth, and sure enough, there's Micheal Firkins on stage with a band, just rocking out, and my jaw hit the floor. I thought, you've got to be kidding me, it is Micheal Firkins. And I got to meet him, we talked for a little while. Then I left him alone, and I kept thinking about, the idea I had for Guitar Player. And I found him again and continued to talk to him. And he was just so nice. We were just talking about, GearFest. We were talking about the, potential for having a lesson in Guitar Player, which did, actually happen. And I had a really good phone conversation with him, like right before a lesson in Guitar Player. So I can tell you, Micheal Firkins is the real deal. He's a really nice guy, super cool, laid back. And just, he'll melt your face with this guitar, just exceptional. The licks in this lesson actually came from a live performance in Japan from 1992, and I'm guessing he was basically on an extended, tour or whatever, supporting his first album, and I guess his instructional video would have come out, right around this time, and it would have been a little bit before, Chapter 11, so we really just had the one album and the instructional video. But when I watched this footage, I couldn't help but wonder. I thought, I wonder what he was doing in Japan. Like, was it just a tour, or was he doing clinics or promotional stuff? But regardless, this is a great footage, and there's some great licks in here too. So here we go. All right, the first lick features some of Micheal's bar-dipped phrasing, and we're hybrid picking and also changing positions in C-sharp minor pentatonic, and it's something like this. One more time. So right there we're in C-sharp minor pentatonic, and we're really just grabbing a single note on the B and a single note on the high E and kind of sidestepping our way up the fretboard like that. And we're going to start right here on this G sharp, and we're going to dip the bar. and then move over to B on the high E string. So I'm going to walk through this without the bar dips first. So we're doing this, and kind of sliding that G sharp and then grabbing that B, and then slide this G sharp up to B and grab the C sharp right there on the high E. Slide that B to C sharp and grab E. Slide C sharp to E and grab F sharp. Grab that E, slide to G sharp, and then you're going to end on B right here. So once again, without the bar dips. He's also hybrid picking the high E string. Like that. And then with the dips, you're basically dipping every note on the B like this. And that's where you get that kind of smeared, you know, slide guitar kind of sound, but you're really just kind of dipping the bar ever so slightly. And I'm basically, you know, using the pick with my thumb and index finger. I'm hybrid picking, you know, with my middle finger. And then my pinky's really just kind of touching, you know, the tip of the bar and dipping it, you know, ever so slightly. Like that. You know, such a cool phrase and kind of a signature idea from Micheal Firkins. Next up, we've got this bluesy, wide intervallic idea, and there's some more bar dipping involved, but something like this. One more time. So right there, we're basically moving from D to A, you know, with this phrase. So the first part, you're going to basically do this. So you're literally holding this D note there on the 15th fret on the B string and stretching all the way up and grabbing that A note on the 22nd fret on the B string. And then you're going to move down chromatically, and basically you're kind of, you know, targeting this F sharp right there like this. And when you get to that F sharp, that's where the bar dip is. And then you want to basically, you know, kind of move your way back up to that A. And when you get back to that A note, then kind of wiggle the bar for some vibrato. And then it moves over to A, or at least an atonality, and now you're going to be holding the 14th fret on the G, and you're going to start on the 21st fret right here. So right there, you're basically dipping that C sharp now, you know, up on the, what, the 18th fret there on the G. So it kind of mirrors the first phrase, it's just down a fret and on the G string. You know, cool lick. Really cool. Next up, we've got this higher position, busy melodic phrase, and it ends with some index finger bends, which is always tricky. Something like this. One more time. So right there, we're basically starting really high on the fretboard, and Michael's using a 24 fret, you know, Yamaha Pacifica guitar in this clip. So he has 24 frets, and the first note that he hits twice is E flat, which would technically be the 23rd fret, which I don't have. I only have 22 frets. So the first thing right off the bat, and there's a physical challenge here, but we're going to have to bend. If you have, you know, 22 frets like I do, you're going to have to bend this D note up a half step to E flat and then pick it twice to start this lick. Now if you have 24 frets, which totally isn't fair, but you can actually just start on the 23rd fret for this lick. But right off the bat, you've got two E flats like this. And you really need to kind of make sure you're bending to the right note, because you're going to basically release that bend. Like that. Something like that. Let me go a little bit slower here. crammed phrase, and it's kind of dipping into the blues scale just ever so slightly with that flat 5 right here. Right? And I like the way it kind of turns around right here. I like those kind of phrases. And at the end right there, that's really tricky because you're basically grabbing this E flat and then bending that up a whole step and then grabbing that F note like this. So you're bending with your index finger to the note that you're fretting, you know, right after that bend. You're gonna do that like 4 times. And then the last time, just bend that E flat to F and then end on E flat. That's a tricky lick. And here's a bonus lick from this live footage, and it's this crazy shred lick where we're weaving back and forth between ascending and descending and climbing up the B and the high E string. Something like this. One more time. Now this lick is crazy, and we're just crammed in there. So we're starting here, and then you're going to shift with your pinky finger into that F, and then descend the next position of that scale. And then do it again and shift there on the B up to the B string right there, that B note. And then shift again up to that A note right there. And then shift the D. Shift up to that C note right there. And then you're going to shift again into that F. So that's the movement right there. So let me walk through that again kind of slow like this. He's also kind of accenting like those slide shifts with your pinky. So you really want to exaggerate the shifting on the high E string when you kind of move along the strings like this. And kind of, you know, all the way up to that D note there. And then when you get to that D note, that's where he starts bending to the sky right there. So you're going to basically bend that D up to E 4 times in a row. And then you want to release that bend, and you're going to go back to that C note. And then after you grab that D note again, go back to that C and bend that up a whole step twice. And then the last time just play C. Like that. A very intense lick, and I'm a sucker for phrases and licks like this. That's going to wrap this look at 3 Michael Lee Firkins licks from 1992, and as I mentioned earlier, Michael's an exceptional musician, you know, just phenomenal. And he's also a really nice guy, you know, very easy to talk to and approachable and very laid back. And I know when I was younger and I first heard his music, I mean, it just blew my doors off, where I thought, wow, I kind of became obsessed with him. You know, and definitely if you haven't seen his instructional video from 1992, I think it was a Hot Licks video, mastering lead guitar, that video will just blow your mind. You know, he's breaking down all these licks and techniques and things that he likes to play. Great video, you know, check out his albums, you know, some great music. Check out his cover of the Pink Panther theme. You know, when I first heard that, I thought, man, you gotta be kidding me, it's so cool. But, you know, definitely a great guitarist. You know, not really on the radar. I mean, a lot of people don't even know his name, but as soon as you hear him play, you know, your jaw, like mine, is probably gonna be on the floor. Like, oh my gosh, you know, who is this guy? And it's Michael Lee Firkins. So anyway, leave some feedback and comments. Please subscribe to Lessons, and I'll be back before you know it with more content and material. Thank you.